Hello everyone, Bob here. This wipe is very special compared to the other ones, and I will tell you in a second why. But first, I want to thank you all for all the positive comments you left on one of my videos. They mean a lot to me and they are the reason this video was possible. But one of the comments in particular drew my attention, and this is why I made this video special for all the new players in Rust, and even for those who play for some time, but they are still struggling because, let's be honest, there is no fun when you keep losing, is it? And I promise you all that by the end of this video you will have a better understanding and your wipes will be more enjoyable, because I will give you tips and tricks on how I survived a whole wipe right next to a roof camper clan on a 600 players Rust Vanilla server. And I made over 8,000 scrap only from raiding. But first, a big apology, because on my attempt to make some settings for Discord audio, I messed up the microphone and game audio for the whole wipe, and now I'll have to narrate the whole thing. But don't worry, it's still gonna be enjoyable. So let's get started, shall we? The first thing I do is to run straight to the outpost, because the beach and the monuments are crowded with players and big clans. And the outpost is going to give me two types of protection. The safe zone area, where I can farm in peace, and if my base is raided, there might be a chance for the counter raiders to show up. If I'm online, I might have some time to repair my base while they're fighting each other. If you travel for a long distance, it's better to do it at night, and always try to take the lower ground, because it's gonna be more difficult for anyone to spot you in the dark. At the outpost, my first priority is to craft and place a sleeping bag, because I couldn't find any cloth on my way there. With that checked off the list, now I can start a mad farming session to get as much scrap as I can to research the drop box. I will leave a link in the description to the guides on how to farm the outpost and for the starting base I'm building this wipe. After farming for half an hour, I've learned and crafted the drop box. Now I need to find a spot where I can build my base, so while I'm in the safe zone area, I'll respawn on my bag and run around the outpost to find a good location. If it's taking longer than 10 minutes, run back and get your loot, then respawn again, and you do this until you find the perfect spot. With the best location marked on my map, I'll grab my loot and build the safest starting base for new players. The cold killed me right when I was about to place down the sleeping bag, but I managed to chop down a tree and break into my own base right before the server restart. With the TC room safe, now I can continue to expand and add the furnace and the workbench. This is not the most practical base if we talk about free movement, but for new players I think this is the best option, and I'll tell you why. Farming makes noise and attracts people. Building makes noise and attracts people, and those two things requires time. While doing this, you are under pressure and you can die at any time. And even if you manage to build your starting base, you aren't safe from eco raids. You need to craft a metal door with metal you get from a recycler, or you need low-grade fuel for furnace, either from farming barrels, either from killing animals and mix fat with cloth. It's a lot of work for someone without experience. That's why I choose the outpost. I have free sanctuary, I can find everything I need around it, and this base is cheap to build, super fast, there are no eco raids, and with every single upgrade you make, you will double the raid costs. As I mentioned on my outpost guide, there are some blind spots where you can hide from the sentry turrets, and some players take advantage of this, so you can too. These times some people were killing each other and I died too, but because I had placed a bag nearby, I was able to run back just in time to get my hands on a revolver. After researching the revolver and the pistol bullets, I upgraded the base as much as I could, then I went to bed so I could catch 4 hours of sleep before work. Day 2. As expected, my base was unraided, and even if someone would dare to raid me, they were getting nothing because all my loot was in the 15 rockets bunker. But if they were to raid my bunker, they will lose many hours of hard work, while me, I could rebuild that small base in 30 minutes. Now it's time to add some honeycombs to my base, so while I was out farming, someone killed me with a saw. I didn't have much loot on me, so I was alright with it, but unfortunately for him, my corpse bugged and he couldn't loot me. So when I went back, he let me alive on purpose to get my stuff back, so he could kill me again. But I managed to outsmart him and I made him move a few steps closer to the outpost, just enough to get him into the turret's range. And when he killed me, well, I've got a 3-star. As a new player, you will always come across more experienced ones, and usually they will kill you for your loot, but with 0 PvP skills, if you play your cards right and make use of the environment, you can have a chance to get some free stuff, as I did and I will do a few more times this wipe. After I safely stored the SAR, I'm back on farming to make some more upgrades to my base. While I was farming some more scrap, I came across another treasure. Someone had a few attempts in reaching his body, but he was getting killed by the sentry turret, so I started to search the bodies until I found a Tommy. I know that Tommy needs the SMG body part to craft it, something that you can't easily get it by farming the outpost. So all I can do for now was to keep it safe in my base and to continue farming more materials and scrap. Because I'm scared of my own shadow, I'm always trying to stay alert and spot any danger before I might come across. And this is when I noticed for the first time my neighbors. They were prowling near the outpost, killing all the people who were getting in and out of the area. As a good neighbor that I am, I wanted to be the first one to say hello, and they had a very fast response back. Living next door to a clan, you either get raided, either work for them to buy yourself some more time. But I am no friends with roof campers. So I get back to work and I start farming materials to expand and upgrade my base. Unfortunately, the only shop that was selling garage doors had no more. So before I went to bed, my only option was to add as many double doors as possible. Day 3. Another day has come and I am still safe and well in my base. And if I want to keep it that way, I need to expand a bit more, but not before I buy and research the Molotov bottle. For 2 days, I've had my eyes on something I could raid. With all this low-grade fuel I can farm at the outpost, it will be a shame not to use it. So I raided a legacy shelter with some stuff in it, and a wooden base. But my watchful neighbors are always on roof camping duty. Luckily I play safe and except the Molotov I used, I lost nothing. Instead, 2 of them decided to pay me a visit. They were playing really loud a radio to cover up the noise made while trying to break my wooden frame window. Eventually they were killed by another group, and after I collected their weapons, I knew that my neighbors became a real threat now. So without any delay, I'm on a mad scrap farming session again to research the garage doors. And then I build a shooting floor. But silly as I am, I haven't thought it through and I put the wrong windows. Something that I'll fix it later. Day 4. After farming the materials needed to upkeep the base, I'm set on a new mission, farming and researching the satchel. Then I put down some more bags and I start to scout the area for potential raids. As a new player that I am, I'll target only small bases that look like they might have some good stuff in it. If I go too crazy about it, counter raiders will definitely put me down and take the raid away from me. But I have some competition, my lovely neighbors. So I decided to have some fun with them and ruin their camping session. Oh, right, wrong windows. And so I'm out farming sulfur to get ready for some raids. And this time I've got my eyes on a few bases, especially this 2x1. But my first target will be a decaying base with only 2 doors left before the TC room. Equipped with everything I needed to take over, I have my first raid with satchels on this wipe. The loot wasn't too great, but because of my next move, for me it was totally worth it. When I was leaving the base, instead of running straight to my base, I'm running to the outpost, because I was thinking that the explosions might off attract some counter raiders. And guess what? I was totally right. Lucky for me, I was able to recover my loot very fast. Unfortunately for him, he was too close to the outpost. Moving on to my next raid, this was very personal. While I was out farming, I spotted someone trying to door camp at a new wooden base. And the hero me is on duty. But I failed because there was a second guy I didn't know of. In my attempt to recover my weapon, I died again because I had no bullets. And again, and again. Until I figure out that their base was the one on the top of the hill with spikes around it. Busy on farming sulfur, I come across a decaying base right next to theirs. And after I seal the TC room, oh boy, C4, satchels, sulfur, I had to move all of this immediately. Meanwhile, I'm getting ready for the raid. The laziest person in the world wants to join me, but he's out a few minutes before the raid. So I'm on my own again, but still confident that I will succeed. I grabbed the best loot I could and I stored it in the next door base. Then visitors started to show up. And after I went into kamikaze mode, the real pro raiders showed up and took the TC room. Still, I've got my hands on some guns. After another Molotov raid, I'm off to bed and logged back in on day 5. Still unraided and with a great plan ahead. Raiding that 2x1 I saw the day before. So after some small preparations, I'm onto it. And this was the jackpot. At the moment I didn't realize the amount of treasure I've got my hands on. But after I went to the outpost to check it, I was shocked. This small base had in it 5,000 fertilizer that was worth 7,500 scrap if I am to exchange it at the vending machine. Which I did. But the problem was that I could exchange 34 stacks of fertilizer every 5 minutes. So after about 3 hours, I made 4,000 scrap. Then I'm back to my base to research the rockets and the rocket launcher, and I'm off to bed. Day 6. I'm back to the outpost to exchange for scrap the rest of the fertilizer. But because it was taking too long, I decided to do multitasking. After the exchange, for the next 5 minutes I would respawn at my base to prepare and get ready for another raid, using the last of my gunpowder I had available to craft C4 and break a double armored door. The raid, it wasn't worth, but it was another success and that's all it matters for me as a new player. By the time I've done this raid, I managed to exchange all the fertilizer and I had another 3,500 scrap in my inventory, ready to use it for research. Now it's time to end my wipe, but not before I replace the windows, organize the loot and replace the door locks with code locks and give the base to my lazy friend who missed all the fun. This is what I managed to gather in 6 days of Rust as a solo player. Some weapons, components, tools, armor, materials, and primitive weapons. I didn't need the bunker for this wipe, but if I was to be raided, my chances to keep the base and the best loot safe were very high. Day 7. Although my wipe was over, the next day I get a notification that I was killed. I thought that I was raided, so I logged into the game just to check the damages. Then I remembered that I logged off in the last base I raided, which of course it had decayed and some random traveler wanted a free kill. But there was a change that made me sad and happy at the same time. My neighbor's base. You see, the day before they were still very active and roof camping other people. But today their base was gone. All left behind it was the TC room and a wall with wanted people. A bit disappointing because I wasn't on the list. But hey, I am new player to Rust. I survived the whole week next to a roof camper clan, and I made thousands of scrap and researched the most important blueprints that will definitely help me on my next wipe. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, take care and be safe.